In today's episode, we are talking to a restaurant CEO who refuses to let the brand compromise on who they are so that they can continue to grow. He runs a 30 restaurant breakfast brand that is growing 8 to 10 stores in the next 12 months. And if you call his corporate office, a human still picks up the phone. In 2026, that is not on accident. He made that choice purposely. Talking about hospitality, he understands it. If you're in a restaurant brand and you're trying to grow, you already know the temptation. Auto attendants on the phone, kiosks at the front, AI scripting for menu suggestions, tablets that do everything for you, or even allowing the guests to do everything for you without it. Every conference, and even quite frankly on the show, we've had vendors that talk about all of these different pieces of technology. But there are operators out there that want to keep hospitality at the center of what they're doing. Today's guest is one of those guests. In today's conversations, we go through the regional growth strategy that has continued to work for the Big Biscuit. They are only growing from their home base in the Kansas City market and continuing to grow in adjacent markets so that they have brand recognition and can continue to grow sustainably while understanding who they are and what they're doing. We even talk about why the funkiest, trendiest breakfast concepts quietly admit that their top selling items are still just bacon and eggs. And we get into why he thinks technology should supplement the hospitality, not substitute for it, including the trademark that he filled for a phrase that tells us everything you need to know about how he runs the brand. If you don't know me, my name is Jeremy Julian. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for CBS North Star. I'm also the founder of the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Today, we are joined by the president of the Big Biscuit out of Kansas City, Chad Offerdahl. He and his dad acquired the brand in 2009. Another family business person like myself, and have continued to grow from 2 locations to over 30 in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. Hopefully soon, one close to me in Texas. They've got 10 stores on the docket. Let's get into the episode and you can learn more about how he did it. Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I thank everyone out there for joining us. As I like to say each and every time, I know you guys got lots of choices, so thank you guys for hanging with us today. Today, I actually get a chance to talk to a CEO of a brand that I've admired from afar, and I'm excited to kind of hear a little bit of Chad's background and a little bit about kind of where he's been going and kind of what they get to do. But Chad, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners real quick? Then we get to talk about what brand you get to share
the story. So yeah, I'm my name's Chad. I'm the CEO and president of a brand based out of Kansas City called the Big Biscuit. We're a breakfast and lunch restaurant concept founded in Kansas City with a very traditional American Southern comfort focused menu. We, as of today, have 30 restaurants open. Actually, I wish it was 31. We were supposed to open up one yesterday, but in a few days. So we're on a growth pattern. But really our focus is, like I said, Southern style comfort food, biscuits and gravy, plate sized pancakes, with home style service, that reliable, good country kitchen kind of food, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And we're a family owned brand, and we are also franchising. And we presently are in 4 different states right now: Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, with expansion into future states coming soon. So that's kind of the quick and dirty.
I love it. I'm going to be honest, though. I live in Texas, and I don't think of Southern biscuits from Kansas City. I guess I'd love a little backstory. Why not only name it, the Big Biscuit, but then kind of where did that whole thing come from? I'd love a little backstory if you wouldn't mind.
The Big Biscuit was founded in 2000 in Independence, Missouri, which is here in Kansas City, and founded on the principle of just abundant portions and taking good care of people. And by its namesake, we have really big biscuits. I mean, think softball size. We don't mess around. And so the founder, his name was Dan, actually, he opened up that first location. He opened up a second one a few years later. My partner and I, my dad and I, came along on a chance trip through Kansas City and discovered the original location in Independence and really just loved what we saw. We saw a menu that we resonated with. We saw happy guests. We saw a vibe, old school kind of diner vibe with black and white photos on the wall, and just thought, man, this is really cool. And we had been kind of wanting to do something on our own of a restaurant company. Said, man, we need to talk to the owner and just kind of learn more about this. And so we met with Dan and basically found out he had no plans for the Big Biscuit. He had the 2 locations, and that was all Big Biscuit was ever going to be. And so we said, man, we think we can do something with this. We can systematize this. We can, really improve on the menu, add, technology. I mean, everything was handwritten notes. There was no KDS screens. There was no inventory. I mean, everything was pen and paper. And so we thought, man, we can really do something with this. So we made him an offer and acquired the brand. And that was back in 2009. And so we set to work of really just refining things. And then we opened up our 3rd location about a year and a half later, and just started a steady growth clip since then of really building a strong team. So we built out Kansas City and started franchising since then. And now it's, become somewhat of a regional brand. But yeah, really humble beginnings. We started with just the 2, and now we've grown to where we are today.
I love that. I love that story, and that's such a cool, just I guess even the thought process that says, with this guy that founded this brand, really now he gets to see it explode, and kind of his baby is in a place that a lot of people get to experience that. So that's really cool. Why do you think, Chad? It feels like biscuits have become like all the rage. Like I don't know. I feel like we do business with a brand out of the Carolinas called Biscuitville. I had somebody else on that was kind of from the South Alabama. They had a biscuit concept. You guys have got this biscuit kind of idea. I guess it feels like that's something newer, or something that kind of is this burgeoning thing, whereas biscuits and gravy and biscuits just in general have always been something that I think have been served with meals, but haven't necessarily been the center of the plate, or even the center of kind of the go to market. I'd love at least your insights on why do you think that's working so well and people are resonating so well with it.
Hitting the nail on the head is it's always been there. I mean, biscuits and gravy, I mean, that's as old as time, right? But the marketplace for so long, I think the desire of the marketplace was innovation, innovation, innovation. The new thing, the new trend, the new whatever it is, the funky drink, the funky plate, the pineapple upside down this, and whatever it is. And we're seeing a shift now in the marketplace where that's shifting back more towards value and tradition. People are wanting to get a good value for their money and get something that's reliable, traditional. It really is interesting as I go to a lot of industry conferences, and as I talk with other restaurant concepts, but also similar, in the breakfast space, I'll have, and I won't name any concepts here, but I'll have representatives from these concepts that are known for their funky, unique, trendy menus. And they've told me on a number of different concepts have said, our most popular dish is our bacon and eggs, or our traditional plate, or our whatever, the equivalent. And I'm like,
yeah, or Denver
exactly,
omelet. You can find on any breakfast menu anywhere.
I think that's really what it is people are just wanting to get that traditional, reliable breakfast while still having the options of getting a fun drink or something upgraded, which we absolutely offer as well. But it seems like it got really difficult there for a while. If you wanted to go to a breakfast place to be like, I just want some pancakes and bacon, but it just wasn't the thing. So I think that's why biscuits and gravy and similar items, like really what our core offering is so successful, is because it's kind of just a return to, what people really want.
I love that. Chet, talk to me a little bit about the Kansas City market, because funny enough, I'd never seen Kansas City as a market that's spawning off chain restaurants, but it feels like, I don't want to say a rebirth, but typically it was like LA, it was Denver, it was Dallas, it was Chicago, New York, Florida. At least in the last number of years, I've got a few friends that are at a place where Kansas City seems like it's got a growth opportunity for restaurant brands to get out to multi-units. I guess I'd love, since you guys have been kind of in the space for, 15 years kind of in Kansas City, I'd love kind of your opinions. And then for those brands that maybe are reluctant to even go into Kansas City, how is the restaurant market in that?
Yeah, it is really
region?
cool that Kansas City really has become a hub. We've, obviously the Big Biscuit, started and grown there. There's other concepts like Hawaiian Bros and Tiki Taco, and there's a lot of others that are making their start here that are big, growing emerging brands. And, I really would say that is because Kansas City, we embrace in a really big way our food scene, but then also supporting local. I mean, the amount of support we get, even now that we've, extended outside of the metro, Kansas City takes pride in being homegrown, right? The Big Biscuit was started here with, like that's our concept. They may be in Wichita, but you know what? That's our concept. But Kansas City is a real food scene. I mean, we have a ton of different diverse offerings. We have a huge influencer scene. And it's becoming, it's a very fast growing metro, which is very exciting, with all the investments that are being made on the far west and far south side of town. And it's a great opportunity, and we love being able to be a part of it.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And it's just fun having worked in chain restaurants. It's like you never saw people go into Kansas City as a second or third market, but it feels like, and especially if you know the suburbs, it's like, oh, yeah, Olathe or, Overland Park or just all these little suburbs of Kansas City. You're like, oh, that's in Kansas City. Wow, that's interesting that they would be growing there. But to your point, every time I visited, I love Eric from Tiki Taco and the guys from Hawaiian Bro. They're all really, really great restaurateurs and always have some really innovative ideas. Funny enough, when I said restaurant brands, so those are the two that came to mind that you brought up because they're friends of mine and I've spent some time with them. But every time I'm there, it does feel like there's a huge embrace. And again, it also feels like the city has embraced even events, and there's more and more people coming into Kansas City on a regular basis. Or at least that's been my experience. And with even youth sports and things like that, it's kind of an interesting deal. So, Chad, let's talk a little bit more about the concept. So it's kind of home style, I guess. I don't remember exactly what adjective you use. Home style breakfast. Is it served fast food, fast casual? Is it served counter service or table service? I guess walk me through as a guest. What is the experience like, and kind of how
so
is
we're
the
full
service model?
We offer breakfast and lunch. We're open from 6:30 to 2:30. We also do feature a breakfast counter in all of our restaurants. That's very popular. And we also offer a lot of other variety of seating options, meeting rooms in most of our locations, obviously patio service, things like that. But really, it's an emphasis on just, it's overused, but it's true. What really sets apart a concept is its hospitality. You can go to a lot of different places to get a great plate of food. Really, what sets the difference is just that commitment to the guest experience. And, there's a lot of different ways that we go about that, of whether it's, having servers where they can take orders at the table with tablets, and how we're interacting with the guests before they even arrive through reservations or getting in line, and how we're communicating with them. It's, every touch point matters. But yeah, we are full service. We focus on taking care of you at the table. That's the only way we see it when it comes to Southern hospitality. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, and I guess from that perspective, and I'd love your thoughts on it, Chad. Talk a little bit about the juxtaposition between automating and making technology the center of the brand and hospitality, because sometimes brands get that wrong, I guess. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm not suggesting that you guys have, but sometimes I was at a brand just recently where the server could not even talk me through the menu. They had to sit and just monkey around with the tablet, and it was not a great hospitality experience. It was intended to make it better, faster, smarter, but the server hadn't been trained and hadn't, the menu wasn't optimized for what she needed to do. So I'd love to I guess, ask your opinion and thoughts as a brand. How do you guys make sure that it doesn't take over the hospitality experience, but it's augmenting it and making it better?
You said it right. How do we make it faster? How do we make it easier without losing the soul? I mean, that's what, everybody's saying. It's the way that we pose it is it's not a substitute for, but a supplement of the service, right? How can we, the POS, I mean, that's a perfect example that, honestly, if you're not having your servers take orders at the tables, you're missing an opportunity, because that's going to speed up service. It's going to give your servers more time to interact with your guests, those kind of things. And again, like we'll have internal meetings on how we program our POS to optimize that time. How many clicks does it take to order a Jim's platter? It's those kind of things. If we don't want to overcomplicate it, you want to be able to sell and suggest and say, hey, would you like this with that? There's a limit. How long are you making a guest take an order? And it's not a substitute for training. It's not, hey, let's program this POS so well that we don't need to train our servers. They can just become robots, right? No, that's not what it is. It's a supplement of, let's program it where it's easy, but then make sure we're still getting the training and focusing on those frictionless experiences to allow for the guest to get their food faster, to get what they want more often. We're not trying to replace voices on the phone. It's, things like that, of just the
Mhm.
mindset of, it would be easy to cut a lot of corners utilizing tech. We could replace this, and it's, but that takes the soul away. Even right now, you call the Big Biscuit corporate headquarters, a person answers the phone. And that's an intentional choice, because we very easily could have an auto attendant or an AI or something that's figuring it out. But it's a touch point. It's a point of service, right? We want you to know that when you are at the Big Biscuit, we are human. We want to take care of you. You're part of an experience. You're not just the next person in line.
I love that, and I love the supplementation, not replacing them, and all too often I've had quite a few articles recently on LinkedIn just talking about ensuring that you understand the philosophy that you're going in, regardless of what kind of tech, from online ordering to third party delivery to order at the table. All of it has to make the guest experience better, because if it doesn't make the guest experience better, ultimately the brand loses, and they'll come once, but they won't keep coming back, because to your point, you create that experience in the stores. Chad, I'd love to talk a little bit about your growth. Obviously, you guys are growing. You guys continue to grow. We're recording this right before the NRA show in Chicago is coming up this weekend. When we're recording this, and you're about at 31 stores, I'd love to understand, how do you guys consider? You guys have a fantastic name. I'm sure it's very recognizable. But when you go into new markets, talk to me a little bit about what that looks like, because I've seen restaurants grow. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen restaurants grow, and they get over their skis by growing into too many geos, and people don't know. And then those stores end up tearing down what you've built over the last 20 plus years in kind of the KC area. And so I'd love to understand, how do you guys think about both new regions, new franchisees, and then new markets to make sure that they not only can be successful short term,
There's
but
lots
long
of good
term?
stuff to hit on there. Let's see. Let's start with maybe how we've grown. And so, yeah, we're at 31 now, and we're hitting the end of the hockey stick. We're really starting to see a significant growth pattern. Prior to this year, I believe we had opened 5 restaurants in a single 12-month period. We're coming up on 8 to 10 in the next 12-month period, and then even more after that. And really what our focus has been, as far as brand awareness and market penetration, is we're focused very regionally. So like I said, we're presently in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and we're targeting areas in and around there. So we're going down, we're looking at Texas, we're looking at Nebraska, we're looking at Tennessee, really strategically growing as a region rather than cherry picking throughout the United States. And what that has done for us is, every market we've gone into to date, we've already had brand awareness, because we're so regional. There's a strong understanding of, oh yeah, I know the Big Biscuit. I ate there when I was in Kansas City last. There's so much of that our brand awareness is strong before we even talk about marketing and community connection and everything else that obviously we do as well. So that's been very successful for us, and we intend to continue that as much as possible. And then as far as the franchising front, that's first and foremost, it's the relationship that we're looking for. It's not hard to go out and find money. It's not hard to go out and find interest. There's a lot of both of those things out there. It's really the right person with the right team, the right experience. And then everything else is simple business of just, making it all come together. The Big Biscuit business is fun. A lot of people know business. A lot of people know restaurants. We just train them how to do Big Biscuit, which we are nails at. And so as we select those people, we select markets that make sense for the Big Biscuit and then move them in there. So it's a really cool process. We enjoy it. We feel so blessed that as we go into these different markets, right now we're building out Wichita, Kansas. We've got 1 store open. We're about to open up a second, and then a couple more on the way. Before we even opened up our first location, I mean, we had the whole city up in arms, excited that, like, oh, they're finally coming to Wichita. Like, they were aware of who we were, even all the way up in Kansas City. So that's really been exciting for us, that our name extends well beyond our footprint.
I love that. So, talk to me a little bit about what you guys are looking for outside of the cultural fit. Are you looking kind of, for franchises that are kind of in those adjacent states? Is that kind of where you guys are at in your journey, Chad? Or are you guys on kind of a longer term trajectory that says we'll eventually get to Arizona, we'll eventually get to Florida, and we know that we need to start looking at franchisees there? Because listeners that are here, maybe in some of those regions up in the Northeast or whatever, I guess I'd love a little bit of understanding for them as they're sitting there listening, going, hey, I'd love a breakfast concept. I'd love to only have to work till 4 o'clock in the afternoon and be done for the day. Because I tell people all the time, if I were to ever open up a restaurant, I promise you'd be a breakfast restaurant. Because the morning, and I just got back from a barbecue place that the guys are on the smoker at 4 o'clock in the morning and they close down at 10 o'clock at night. It's a long day, and the volume is good for it, but at the same time, it's a slog and it's a lot of hours. So I guess, tell me a little bit about what you guys are looking for in franchisees. Is it multi-unit people already? Is it, again, everybody's got different philosophies, not just philosophically do they fit, but kind of what's their experience? What's their geographic area? Are you looking for somebody that's looking to add a new brand, or somebody that's looking to build out an entire market? I'd love to have you educate our listeners a little bit on that too.
We're looking, again, the first and foremost is that cultural fit, right? Of being in business with people that, you want to be in the trenches with. All businesses have their challenges. And when things come along, I mean, obviously the single biggest one more recently was COVID. And I feel incredibly blessed that our franchisees we had in the system going through COVID were people that I want to be in the trenches with. You want to be fighting next to them, not fighting with them. And so that's really, do we like each other? Do we share the same philosophy? Do they want to embrace the vision of the Big Biscuit? But then beyond that, it's, focus on, do you need to have prior restaurant experience? Not necessarily. But really what is a big plus is having business experience, and especially even multi-unit business experience of some sort, even if it's outside hospitality, because we can train restaurants, we can train all of that. Business is definitely a big plus, but as far as where we get franchisees, we're definitely, regionally is our goal. We do want to grow from the central United States out in an ideal situation, but for the right group, we're looking. I mean, there's a group we're looking at now that goes up into Ohio. There's another group we're looking at that goes down to Alabama. And that's not exactly in our immediate vicinity. But for the right group, we do that, and we have the systems and the relationships and everything in place to do that. It's just really having that right relationship that makes sense, and that we want to do business with each other. And then as far as single unit versus multi-unit, we are open to both. We largely want to put single unit operators in single unit markets, right, where they can have that market and really be the representative of Big Biscuit in that market. And then for the groups that want to represent with multiple locations, take on those larger metros and really have the economies of scale, the benefits of having multiple restaurants. So we're open to a number of different formats, but this is something where it's important to us that who's involved cares, who's involved isn't just looking for the next place to park their money. We want them to be successful, and that's obviously a key component. But we want to have people who believe in the brand, embrace the values, really are proud of the brand and the food. And like I said, everything else is details at that point.
I love that, and I've seen too many brands over the years grow for growth's sake without growing and understanding that cultural component. So kudos to you, Chad, that you guys are thinking about that now before you guys get yourself in trouble. Let's flip over to the menu real quick. Talk about menu innovation. You talked about, kind of the staples, which still probably drive 80 or 90% of the menu, but you also need reasons for people to come in. And there's people that are like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, but you guys might come up with some new LTOs or some unique things. I guess I'd love to hear your theory on kind of what does an LTO do, and why are you guys doing it? Kind of what's some of the unique things about what you guys are doing with limited time offers and putting new menu items on the menu, and when do you guys decide if it comes permanent?
So menu
and those
innovation
kind of things?
Definitely one of the things I love most that we get to do. A lot of experimentation.
Most founders do, or most CEOs do. They like to tinker in the kitchen and play.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so we are very intentional on menu innovation. We have a number of philosophies and filters that we run everything through as we evaluate for our restaurants. One of the primary things is, what are our guests saying? What are they asking for? We just one of our more recent updates is we added a line of chicken and waffles, and we added a line of breakfast sandwiches, biscuit sandwiches, and things like that. And those were driven from guests' requests. And actually, the biscuit sandwiches were people were demanding it. They've been wanting it. So we were very intentional to go and say, okay, let's do some market research on this. Let's do some vigorous testing. What can we execute well? What can we offer at a great value? What's delicious? So we take that seriously. So that first and foremost is just listening to the guest. What do they want? The other thing that, and one of the other things we measured up against is operational simplicity, right? It's if you're not careful,
Yes.
Your menu can get away from you. All of a sudden, your SKU count is climbing, your ticket time slowed down, your waste goes up.
You have one ingredient that's on one menu item that you sell 5 of a day.
No, exactly. It's just
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like people don't understand that complexity drives just such a painful experience for your staff and drives so much profit out of the business.
And your waste goes up, your training costs go up, your speed of service goes down, and usually you combine all those things, your overall experience declines. So it's just we're very intentional about that of cross-utilizing what we have, and if we are going to bring in something, that it makes sense. Are we gonna sell enough of these things that we can execute it at a high level and provide our guests what they expect, give that value. And so we keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, operational simplicity isn't just for our operators. It benefits the guest at the end level because of what their experience is.
Yes.
So we weigh that against it, and then also making sure we don't lose our soul. So we have actually a trademark on a saying called "Don't mess with breakfast," because we believe in that so much that, like we started this conversation, we can't lose sight of plate-sized pancakes and biscuits and gravy and eggs. Like those things, those are our primary sales movers. That's people are coming in to get that traditional breakfast, and so we're not going to lose our soul. But can we add in breakfast sandwiches and chicken and waffles and, plate-sized burritos and, these fun things? Absolutely. Having a fun beverage menu with a lot of different, those are the ways that we can give new and unique offerings while staying true to the core of our brand.
I love that. Last line of questioning before I ask you how to get in touch. What is the go-to? You're bringing some first-time guests. You're on a Founders Day. You're showing them the brand. What are the 1 or 2 items that people have to get? And then what is Chad's go-to on a Sunday morning when he wants to go get some food? What is your go-to? Because most people that have been in a brand for more than 5 minutes have already tweaked the menu to match what they're doing. Am I right?
If I'm bringing somebody to Big Biscuit for the first time, I'm probably going to get them our chicken fried steak and eggs with biscuits and gravy. And then we have this really awesome platter that I love. It's called our biscuit trio, and it's our biscuit served 3 different ways. So it's a basket, and we have a buttermilk biscuit in there. We have our sticky biscuit, which is our biscuit dough cooked in a house-made cinnamon glaze and topped with vanilla icing. And then the third item is a donut, which is it's like biscuit donut. And so we take our biscuit dough, we dip it in French toast batter, fry it up to a golden brown, dust it in powdered sugar, and then I recommend topping it with like strawberries or chocolate chips. So we put those 3 in a basket, and it's our biscuit trio. So I would get, if there were 2 plates I was going to put in front of somebody to try Big Biscuit initially, that's probably what I would put in front of them.
And an appointment with the cardiologist, but that's okay, because to your point, everybody comes for breakfast not because they want to be
and because our chicken fried steak, it is a slab of meat. We hand bread it, fry it. We're making everything fresh to order. I'm incredibly proud of it. I know our team is too. But then to answer your question, what does Chad get? If I went into Big Biscuit this afternoon, I'm ordering a ranchero omelet, which is like a Southwestern omelet with steak on it, served with salsa, and then some hash browns with probably some cheese and onions and green peppers on top of it. And I would also get a side cinnamon roll pancake.
Okay. So I did not realize you guys were in Wichita. My son was going to school just north of Wichita for the last 2 years in McPherson. And he is a breakfast aficionado. Every time we go somewhere, he wants breakfast, and so I'll have to go find him a place to go, because he loves himself some cinnamon roll pancakes for sure. And if not, it's just regular hotcakes with chocolate chips in them. So I'll have to check it out. And so, Chad, how do people get in touch? How do people learn more? How do kind of what can they expect? I know that you guys have got kind of the opportunity to learn more about
learning more
franchising.
about Big Biscuit franchising, we have a website, bigbiscuitfranchise.com. Definitely go there. That's a great starting point of just getting a feel for the brand, who we are, who our team is, what we offer, all that good stuff. And we'd love to have a conversation with you. Put in an inquiry. And then if you're just obviously curious about the Big Biscuit and what we do, we've got bigbiscuit.com. And then to find me and keep up on everything that's going on with the Big Biscuit, you can find me on LinkedIn, Chad Offerdahl. My last name spelled Offerdal. I post on there all the time about our happenings, and yeah.
Love it. I love it. Well, I will have to go find my way to a Big Biscuit. I'm heading up that way through the Midwest. I'm actually driving to Chicago from Dallas by way of St. Louis. We're not coming through the Kansas City route, but we'll have to make sure we make our way there. Chad, thank you so much for sharing the story of what you guys have been doing. Like I said, I've been an admirer from the side. I haven't had a chance to experience it, but it's fun to hear where you guys are at and where you guys are going. And I can't wait till you guys get make your way to Texas, because that's where I live. And that chicken fried steak is.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share more. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. And to our listeners, guys, like I said at the onset, I know you guys got lots of choices. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and make it a great day.